If you have a desire to become a better version of your current self, then this podcast is for you. I share with you helpful thoughts, tips, and stories surrounding fitness and self-improvement which you can apply to your life today. So for those of you that want to take control of your life, to learn, to grow, to become that which you desire most, I am your host, Connor Malone, and this is the pursuit of constant improvement. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you the 4 most common reasons why people fail to transform their physique and in general their life. I'm not only going to share these reasons with you, but I'm also going to share with you how you can fix exactly that. Because the chances are you've experienced at least one of these, and I would almost bet that you've experienced all of them, because I certainly have. So we're going to go over all of them today. Some of these include inconsistency, lack of routine, and basically a list of destructive habits you might have in your life. We're going to go over how to overcome them, how to get rid of them so you can push forward with your own pursuit, with your own transformation, and you don't let blockers get in the way. Because essentially with your goals, if you don't have blockers in the way, all you need is effort to push you forward. It's blockers and things and distractions that get in the way that stop people from achieving their goals, whether that's a physical transformation or absolutely anything else. So we remove blockers and we have the effort there, you're going to get to where you want to be. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode, because you may or may not know that I'm a coach, I'm an online coach, I'm a personal trainer. Over the past 4 years, I've worked with over 70 clients on a one-to-one basis. Now, working with people on a one-to-one basis means I learn a lot about them. I see their behaviors, I see their actions, I learn about how they think. So I've seen the mistakes that people make on that one-to-one basis, and my whole job is to try and help people overcome these. So these blockers that people experience, that is my job, is to help them overcome that. So I'm going to share with you the 4 most common ones, as I said, which I believe that you will have experienced. I'm going to show you how to overcome that, how we can prevent that, how we can fix it from there. Now, reason number 1, one of the most common reasons why people fail is going to be inconsistency. We've all had that inconsistency. And most people blame inconsistency on like a lack of motivation or something along the sort, I don't have enough discipline, which definitely can come into it. But the main reason people are inconsistent is because they lack clarity. They are not clear on what needs to be done. If you think back to, I always think back to school, right? I done really bad in school. I was thick as shit, never really listened or anything like that. Again, that's my bad. But the reason I struggled so much was because, I wasn't listening and nothing was clear. I didn't have the clarity. See, if I had the steps in front of me, all it would take is effort. It's very simple to understand how this works. If you have the steps in front of you and they're very clear and all you need to do is put in the effort, you're much more likely to achieve something. Whereas if you don't have that clarity, those clear steps, then how are you going to know what to do? You don't. That's the answer, which leads to you becoming inconsistent. So again, the first thing is we need clarity. One of the ways we can create clarity is by having a clear goal or routine. So if you know where you want to end up, you can reverse engineer off the back of that, make steps to get there. And then you just put those steps into your routine. That creates a lot of clarity with what you need to be doing on a daily basis, where you need to where your effort needs to lie, where you need to put your effort into, and then you can push on forward. Because I literally all the time when people come to me and like, I kind of start and then I stop and I do this and I'm always kind of on track, then I'm off track. It's because they lack clarity. That's why they're inconsistent, because they want to achieve their goals. They just don't know step by step how to get there. And if something becomes in the way, they don't know how to overcome that. Again, it all comes back to that lack of clarity. Life becomes a whole lot easier to progress and push through with if you have clear step by steps. So that is what we need to make from that. We need a clear path, because if you don't have a clear path, you'll stay in the exact same path that you're on. If you stay in the same path that you're on, you're not going to get anywhere. We need to create a new path with clear steps in order to push us forward. There's a quote that Einstein said, and it's quite a really famous one, but then again, they do attribute a lot of quotes to Einstein, which probably aren't even his. But this one goes like this: insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's probably what you're doing. If you are somebody who wants to transform their physique, their body, you want to lose body fat, or you want to build muscle, but your inconsistency is stopping you getting there, the chances are you're probably, going out drinking and you're falling off it for a few days, you're falling off your routine and things like that. It's because you're trying to repeat the same stuff all the time. You jump back on the bandwagon, you do the same routines you always do. You train for 3-4 days, you go out and drink at the weekend, you feel shit for 3 days, you keep repeating it. That is literal insanity, the fact that you're expecting to get different results. So what we need to do is create a clear path that's going to get us there, because the path that you're on right now isn't going to get you there. And as Einstein said, it's insanity. So we need to make change. We need to make change by creating a clear path, clear tasks, so you can be consistent with those tasks in order to get where you want to be. So I hope that's really resonated with you. If you've thought a lot of times before, oh, I give up all the time, I always kind of restart and things like that, I'm always inconsistent, that will be why, because of that. Because if you don't have clear steps, you don't have clarity, what happens is we react based on emotion. As human beings, you react based on how you feel at the time. That gets us nowhere. Think of the people that are in charge of the world. Now, we may not agree with a lot of the decisions they make, but let's say they always acted based on their emotions. When they were angry, they were sad, they were happy. The world would be in chaos. We need people that are in charge in life, people that are authority figures. They need to be people that can act regardless of their emotions, because most of us can't. You're happy, oh, well, you go and do things. You're sad, you don't do things. You're angry, you don't do things. Listen, that's tough. Life, we're constantly going to be upset, happy, angry. Our emotions are constantly going to change. But you need clarity of the actions you need to take so you can act regardless of them. Because if you keep reacting to impulses and emotions, you're going to get nowhere, okay? So that's a really important thing as well, which you can do to become more consistent, is act regardless of your emotions, which is a very difficult thing to do. Now, reason number 2, which this leads us really nicely onto, is you give in to pleasure. You cannot delay gratification. That is essentially our step number 2. You can't delay gratification. Now, what I mean by that is when you're offered a decision to make, let's say, for example, somebody says to you, you're going to go to the gym, and somebody says to you, oh, we're going to order a takeaway. Do you want to stay in? You have a decision to make. Everybody on the planet wants to sit in and have that takeaway. Everybody does. It's our emotions, but we'll crave food. Maybe you're hungry at the time. Of course, you're going to want to do that. But you need to act regardless of that, and you need to delay that gratification. Because let's say you stayed at home, you got that food, class, oh, it would feel good at the time, you're eating all this food, this is delicious, this is brilliant. Oh, guess what, 15 minutes later, you got a sore stomach, you feel like shit. Not only because you ate that food, because you didn't go to the gym. Because you reacted based off impulse, because you could not delay gratification. So one of the key traits of a high performer, or of somebody that succeeds in life, is their ability not to give in to these impulses, and their ability to delay gratification. So it's like, I don't know, if you're saving money, it's a really simple one. It's like, if you're saving money, do you go out every weekend and buy clothes and go out and spend all this money? You probably do, which is probably why you aren't where you are right now. What you need to do instead is delay gratification. Listen, it would be really good to do that at this moment. There's always going to be things that would feel really good in the moment, but they're not going to pay off long term. So delay that gratification to that long term. That is what this is all about. Brian Tracy said this very well. He said, the ability to discipline yourself to delay gratification in the short term in order to enjoy greater rewards in the long term is the indispensable prerequisite for success. I just spoke about it there. It's what all high performers can do. It is a prerequisite for success, is being able to delay what you want now for what you want in the future. There's a really good one that really relates to this, because another good quote, because basically what we want now, that's pleasure. People think it's happiness. It's not. It's pleasure. It gives us pleasure, a very short-term pleasure, because pleasure becomes pain and punishment when taken too far. You think of this as people who go out and drink every weekend. Feels good at the time, feels great. But see, when you keep doing it and you take it too far, you fall into that spiral, you feel terrible for the next few days. It's a horrible thing, because you keep chasing pleasure. You can't delay gratification from there. It's literally what 99% of people do in life. And it's why, of course, some people end up in a better position, some people don't. Another quote, because we love to stack quotes here, is by Viktor Frankl. He's a very famous, basically psychologist, I suppose, I believe would be the right term, particularly on like finding meaning in life and creating purpose and not pleasure. And this quote perfectly summarizes that. He says, when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. So if you're somebody who keeps going for those pleasurable outcomes, those short-term outcomes, you can't delay gratification, it's probably because you do not have a deep sense of purpose, of meaning. So that is how we get over this ability to not be able to delay gratification. We need to create a strong sense of purpose and a strong sense of meaning. Because if you have a strong meaning, you have somewhere you really want to be in life, then you'll be able to make those good decisions, those right decisions. You'll be able to say, right, no, I'm not going to have that takeaway. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm not going to go out drinking this weekend. I'm going to stay on my plan. I'm going to stay on my routine, because the place I want to go is more important than this short-term feeling of pleasure. That's as simple as we can put it from there. Reason number 3, we've mentioned it already, is alcohol. Out of those, say, 70 clients I've worked one-to-one with, probably 90 to 95% of them have drank alcohol in at least like some way, not necessarily every weekend, but they drink it relatively regularly. It's a very normal thing in society today. I drink. Listen, I love pints. I absolutely love them. Like a pint of Guinness. I absolutely love it. However, I have a really good understanding of how to control that. I didn't used to. I used to let it control me, but now I have an understanding, right, listen, if I want to have a few pints, it might be okay to do every 4-6 weeks or so, but I'm not doing that every weekend. Because if I overdo it, guess what? I feel shit for 3 days after it. It's not worth it to me. And again, I love a pint, just like you likely do. But the ability to actually delay that gratification and avoid alcohol is what's going to push you forward. So to overcome that, you need to realize that initially you don't have control over it, because most people don't. Most people just give into that impulse. Oh, you're going out this weekend? Oh, I'll come out, whatever. I'll have a few drinks. Right now, it probably controls you. If you're in a position where you could quite easily say, no, I'm not going to drink for the next 8 weeks, 12 weeks, class, well done you. This is not a problem for you. You can skip this part. However, if you're somebody who gives into that, they always want to go out, you want to go out and drink because it makes you feel good at the time, I get that, and you want to do that, you can't overcome that. That's probably one of your biggest blockers right now, is that you can't overcome that. Now, this is the same with all things in life, in the sense of when if we want to realize what controls us, we need to realize what we can't say no to. So this is the same for, it could be your boss, it could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be your partner. If you want to find out who and what controls you, realize what you can't say no to. So if somebody asks you to go out and straight away you're out, you can't control that. If somebody tells you to do something and you can't say no, they control you. Your boss, it happens all the time to people. They control you. They have control over you. So once you realize that, you can make that change. Now, I'm not going to share with you any fancy way to remove alcohol from your life or anything like that. In the end of the day, it comes down to delaying gratification. It comes down to an ounce of discipline. But what I would say is commit to removing it and change your identity, whether it's in the short form or the long term. What I mean by that is change your attitude towards it. Be the person that isn't drinking for the next 6 to 8 to 12 weeks, however long it is, commit to it. So if somebody says to you, are you coming out drinking this weekend? Your answer isn't, I really shouldn't, mate. I don't think I'm going to bother. Fuck that. There's a lot of uncertainty into that. Say, no, I'm not drinking at the moment. I'm really focused on where I'm trying to get and where I'm trying to go. I'm not drinking for the next 8, 10, 12 weeks. Commit to it. Set a deadline to it. Because then you can delay that gratification, knowing, yes, I might have a drink in 8 weeks' time, 10 weeks' time, 12 weeks' time, and it'll be worth it. Believe me. So you're changing your identity. You're not going to turn around and say, I might come out for a drink, mate. No chance. You're not doing that. You're changing your identity. You're changing your response to things. That is how I started it. And that's how I'd encourage you to do it too. Because see, when I look at it this year, I've been out far more times sober than I have been drunk. And that would have never happened before. Never. Because initially it kind of did control me. Like I wasn't really able to say no. I was just like, all right, fuck it, let's go out, let's do that. But then I realized, wow, this isn't really helping me at all. There is zero benefit to this long term. So I need to be able to control it. So I started doing that by committing to longer periods of times with zero alcohol. Because a lot of people are like, oh, well, I'll have a couple of pints or I'll have a couple of glasses of wine. Doesn't work. For the vast majority of people, you will not be able to do that. So commit to a stage where you refrain from it. That is what we call temperance. That's what the Stoics would call it. Now, on to reason number 4. The reason why people fail, lack of accountability. You'll have experienced this before. Imagine you had somebody there every single week, was messaging you, was with you at the time, was over your shoulder saying, oh, how's things been this week? What have you done well? What haven't you done well? Or are you sticking to your workout plan? Are you sticking to this? Are you sticking to that? How good would that be? And the reason this works so well, the way it can work so well, is when that comes from a person that you respect or admire. So say if you have like a pal who's in the same situation as you, like let's say for example, you guys can't go to the gym consistently because you stay up playing the Xbox too late, you can't wake up early in the morning, you go out drinking at the weekend, all these things, right? All these blockers. If that person says to you, oh, I hope you're going to the gym this week, but then they don't do it, you don't respect that. You don't find that admirable. So you aren't going to value their accountability. Whereas if it's somebody that is doing the things that you want to do and it's someone you admire, you will value their accountability. You will not want to let them down, because all too often in life, we can let ourselves down. We find it much easier to let ourselves down because we do it all the time, but people are a lot less, they don't want to let other people down, basically. It's a lot harder to do that. So if you have supportive friends, potentially those who are a bit further on than you, they're great people to ask. If you don't, a coach, a mentor, obviously if you're actually paying somebody, that's going to add that financial accountability to it. That's going to work, especially if you respect them. But again, as I said, it could simply be a friend, but it has to be somebody you respect. So don't think of like, oh, I'll just ask wee Johnny. Like he'll just text me twice a week and say, oh, are you going to the gym this week? If you don't respect or value him, you won't take his opinion on board and you won't stand up to his accountability from that. But again, that is a really simple one with accountability. What I'm going to do to help you solve this blocker, if accountability, you really would want somebody there just saying like, checking on you a couple of times per week, make sure you're doing the shit that you say you're going to do. What I want you to do is drop me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram is Connor Malone PT. It'll be in the description below. If you send me a message with the word accountability, I'm not going to charge you for it. All I'm going to ask you is a few questions. We'll outline what you want to achieve, how to do that. And then what I'll do is I'll hold you accountable to that. So I'll message you a couple of times per week. I'll check in on you and we'll see how you're doing. And you'll be able to give me feedback off of that. Again, because you'll go from relying on your own self-accountability to having somebody else there checking on you and seeing how you get on. So I will offer that to you for free. Now, a few takeaways from today's episode. Very simply, this is what I would do. There's 4 main things that I would love for you to take away from this. Find out what it is that holds you back in life, because that's what we're talking about today. These things that hold you back and overcome them. These blockers in your life. Because if you do what obviously Einstein said and just keep doing the things that you're doing and keep expecting different results, that is insanity. You're not going to get anywhere. So discover what it is that holds you back, what leads to you being inconsistent and all these other things, and then remove that from your life, or at least try to set steps and plans in place to remove that or limit that. Now, by changing that, you'll make more progress than adding something into your life. There's a Latin phrase, via negativa, which is addition by removal. Basically, by taking something out of our life, like something that harms us, something that is not good for us, we can add to our life. We make our life better by doing that. It's not the fact that you're missing all these good habits. It's the fact that these few things are leading you to be inconsistent and generally not follow through on your goals. That is the problem. So by removing them, you can push forward in that straight line. Again, work on whichever one it is that holds you back most. If you want that accountability, you know where I am. My DMs are open. Drop me that word accountability and I will help you out with that. To finish this episode, we have a quote, another very prominent figure in history, which is Napoleon. And what Napoleon said was, the reason most people fail instead of succeed is they trade what they want most for what they want at that moment. So very simply what he's saying there is, a lot of it, this is what we spoke about, that delayed gratification. You give in to these impulses, not going to the gym, having a takeaway, lying in your bed, watching Netflix, not going to the gym, because it feels good at the time, but it doesn't pay off in the long run. In fact, you feel worse after it. And of course, that's going to take discipline, but that's delaying gratification. That is what Napoleon said however many hundreds of years ago, and it's the exact same today. Delay what you want now for what you want most. Now, to finish today's podcast, as ever, I hope you found something valuable from this, something that you can apply to your life and your own pursuit, something that will help you inevitably grow and improve in life. I always appreciate your support. If you can, please remember to like or rate this episode. If you're listening on Spotify, there's a wee star option. You can rate it. If you rate it 5 stars, that'd be smashing. And you can also like it on YouTube if you're watching there. Always drop a wee comment if you want. If you have any questions, you know where my DMs are. But as ever, thank you for watching, and I hope you continue in your own pursuit of constant improvement.